Hello and welcome to the series where I show you what I am doing to try and become a web developer. My name's Craig and this is week 6. This week has been a continuation of learning some of the basics of JavaScript, going into a little bit more detail. Things like arrays and objects, and I've started to touch on higher order functions as well. I've spent the majority of my time working on projects. I kind of got really into one of them and I didn't want to stop it. But speaking of time, let's see how much time I've spent this week. In total this week, I've spent 28 hours on web development. I think that may be my highest week so far. I'm pretty proud of myself. In terms of tutorials, I've done 12 hours and 5 minutes. And for projects, that's 15 hours and 55 minutes. So what have I learned? Well, as I said, I've really been going over JavaScript Basics again, trying to get a bit more of a solid understanding of some of the basic topics. As I said in the introduction, that has been arrays, objects, higher order functions, trying to write a little bit cleaner code, and general just working with JavaScript. I finished off the Skillshare course that I was taking. Again, links for that will be down below. The course was pretty good. It gave a general overview of JavaScript. It introduced Ajax using, I think it was just one lesson, so it was a very brief introduction to Ajax. I didn't really get my head around it that much. Similarly, there was jQuery that went into a few lessons on that. Again, I'm struggling to understand that slightly, but I think that's down to just not using it and not having a practice with it. Saying that, I do want to stick with vanilla, JavaScript a bit more so I can understand that before moving on to things like jQuery and any sort of frameworks in the future. Let's dive into the computer and see what I've been building this week. This week I've only managed to do 2 projects and a front-end mentor challenge. Like I was saying, I spent a lot of time on one of them. I was really enjoying it and I kind of didn't want it to stop. Let's have a look, shall we? First up, we've just got the navigation page. Just very basic again, using boxes and box shadows with border radius to make them look a little bit more like they pop out, and I don't have any responsivity on the site, so they just stack up like normal. The first project is the one that I've spent the most time on, and that's the random workout generator. So if we click on that, again, this site doesn't have any media queries. It was mostly focusing on the JavaScript. So there's 2 buttons at the top with hover animations. Got your weightlifting, which is how it is set up now, and hit. So you can say for hit the number of exercises, the number of rounds, working time and resting time. I have got 30-second placeholders in, so if you leave them blank, it will take the placeholder time. So we'll go with 5 rounds of 3, yeah. And we'll create that workout, and it just gives you a list of exercises to do for 30 seconds, rest for 30 seconds, move on to the next one. Once all are done, repeat it again and again. The one thing that took me a little bit of time, but I quite like, is if you click on an exercise or anywhere within the row, it will highlight the row. I thought that was really nice. I mean, it doesn't record any of this information, but you could use it to say, I've done that exercise. Let's move on to the next one. Probably more useful for the weightlifting one. And if we go to that now, this one's a little simpler. We can say a number of exercises, 12, and you can select whether you want to do strength training, hypertrophy, or endurance. The type of workout will impact the number of reps, the rest time, the number of sets, and the weight, which is based on the 1 rep max. So we'll have a look at that. And every 5th or 6th exercise, I can't remember quite now, is a compound exercise. So I thought that was good to increase, as the workout kind of lengthened, you'd do more maybe, I don't know. Not too sure that was a good idea, thinking about that in retrospect. Oh well. This is a table, and it just uses TRTDs, and it changes. As you saw previously for HIIT, it's only got 3 columns. But yeah, I really enjoyed putting this one together. I think it looks simple but quite nice and easy to use. There are 4 arrays I've got in the JavaScript. There's the compound exercise, the general list of exercise, a list of exercises where they should be timed reps. So I'm just gonna, there we go. We got plank and wall sit, so that changes the reps. So that's a small array, and then I've got an array for the HIIT exercises as well, which is mostly the kind of non-compound exercises, but with a few more in there as well. But this was great fun, really good practice on using arrays, using the DOM, and making things a little bit more interactive. Next up, we've got this kind of portfolio. So we'll start off with mobile, because I was designing for that one first. So you kind of got your hero section with the main image and a little bit about myself, even though this is all made up. What I noticed is that I don't have a call to action button, so that would need including. Bit of a oversight on my part. And I've got these gallery images. All the images are display background, and if you click or hover over them, there's text. So all the images come from pixels. This image gallery section is display grid and will resize and fit on as many as it can. Then we've got the contact section. You know, just a little bit of put your name, email address, what's your message. This does have a hover effect. You can see it there, it goes black. And again, images at the bottom with social icons, which I think may have hover effects, I can't quite remember. But if we go to the tablet and larger sizes, the header changes slightly, there's more images. I should have changed these images so you could differentiate them a little bit more. But I kind of wanted a little bit of a broken collection of images. Thought that was quite a nice look. But I'm a bit concerned there's a lot of white. I don't know if it's too much white. Possibly. And again, like I said, the images, they've now increased, I believe, to 200 pixels when they were 150. And again, just resize quite nicely. And finally got the contact section, which goes to a 2-column layout, which I'm quite a fan of. So I was trying to do a little bit more of cross-browser support on this one. You know, I've added Mozilla, Firefox, Opera, and Safari stuff to it to make it a little bit more accessible. There is still an issue on my iPad where if I click on an image, it doesn't really recognize it as a hover or a focus. So you have to hold it and then you can see the text. A little bit of a pain, but maybe I need to think about that one a little bit more detail. Overall, I'm quite happy with it. That's it. Something needs doing with the white space. I'm happy that there's white space, but it feels like there's too much white. So maybe just like change the white background slightly to an off-white. I'm not sure. But those are my 2 main projects this week. Then Actually, before we go on to the Figma design, I bought a domain. So we'll go to that one next. It's just craig-davison.com, and I've built a very simple coming soon page. Just saying coming soon, my name, what I'm doing. This form, however, does actually work. I thought it was amazing. It's using something called, what is it, form submit, I believe. So you type in your own email address, your message. You know, this is a text area, so it can't resize. I'm just going to refresh that. And then there's a hover animation where you can send. So if I send a message, it will go to one of my email addresses, which is pretty cool. Plus, with using form submit, so normally your email address goes after that slash. However, once you've got it set up, they provide you with a random string, so your email address isn't there. I thought that was amazing. So I'm very happy with that. I now have the pressure of thinking what I need to put on my website and how to make it look. So that's going to be fun. Finally, we got the front end mentor challenge, and I realized I didn't put the links to the challenge, so I'll be doing that before I get this video uploaded. But here's the challenge. It's a newbie challenge using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And I'm just going to say this now. It's not finished, and I really struggled. So not a great sign. So we've got the images. There's your desktop view. The desktop view with the interaction. So it's share button, which changes and has a pop-up. And this is what caused me the issue. And then you got the mobile version, and on here it doesn't actually show you the mobile active state, but that basically this bottom section here goes to that purple color, the button changes as it was, and then there's the share and icons at the bottom, and the image kind of disappears. So if we go to my Figma design, we can see that one a little bit. So there's the original desktop, there's kind of my desktop view of it. I just did a bit of the grey box buttons again to do placeholder items. So this is the actual original image for the active state of the mobile. So there's that purple bar, the share and the social icons, and then that's the original. I was kind of creating these boxes to think of how I would divide it up and what the size would be. And then this is my Figma design myself. I'm getting a little bit better with Figma. Not great, but a little bit better. Then we've got my design. So mobile, it's okay. Maybe a little bit squashed on the edge here. But I'll show you the broken hover state, well, interactive state here. I don't know why I turned the background color off on desktop. I can't remember what I was doing that for. But there's a little arrow, as you saw from the active state. There's a slight arrow, so that's kind of what that was going to be. But it's just not working as I want. The mobile, because I did design for mobile first, is a little bit better. I'm kind of happier with that. There's a bit too much white space maybe on the bottom. But the share icon section seems to work okay. However, because this doesn't work, I think I'm just going to have to do a total redesign of it all and start from scratch next week. So I'm a little disappointed, I guess, with the Figma, and a little disappointed with the portfolio. The random workout generator is my favorite, and I may even spend a little bit more time on that, tidying it up. That's everything for week 6. It doesn't seem like I've done too much, but I have felt like I've cemented the knowledge of JavaScript that I've gained so far. And I have been working a little bit on making the sites look a little nicer. I know it may not look like it, but I am trying. I've also been spending 30 to 45 minutes every morning looking at sites like awards, smashing magazines, people's portfolios to just get a bit of inspiration and understand what people think good websites really, and seeing how I would go about building something like that. I've got a long way to go before I build anything like what I've been seeing, but it's really good to get inspiration. Next week I won't be able to spend too much time on web development, unfortunately. I've got a funeral and some family are coming up, so I'll be spending quite a bit of time with them. I'd be lucky if I hit 20 hours, if I'm honest. But next week I am going to be focusing mostly on reworking the projects. This front-end mentor project, I want to get that one nailed, and I think I'm going to have to tear everything I've done apart and start again, which is fine. It's a learning curve, and if you don't fail, you don't learn, I guess. As always, links to projects, Skillshare, classes, resources that I've been using will all be linked down below, and I would greatly appreciate any thoughts, feedbacks, comments, and I'll try and take them on board as best as I can. If you have liked this video, then please give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of these types of videos, then please subscribe. I will catch you all later.